Hello, my name is Petrov Thomas. I did my paper on indigenous religion. Specifically, my thesis was, despite the damages that modernization poses to indigenous religions, it better enables them to adapt and flourish within mainstream society. By mainstream society and modernization, I mean technological advances, power shifts between nations and within nations, as well as cultural and religious colonialism. It seems to be a common perception in Western society that indigenous people have often been taken advantage of, mistreated, and they have suffered culturally as well as religiously because of this. Something that's important to note on that level is that culture and religion aren't two separate things. Within a secular society, this distinction or the gray area between the two, where it's hard to discern what is culture and what is religious, is narrower. Yet within an indigenous society, you don't have quite as clear of a middle ground for discerning what's religious and what is a cultural norm. The two of them actually intertwined, and you have cultural practices based on religious ideals, religious ideals based on cultural practices. One of the things that I did is I focused predominantly on the North and South American continents and the manner in which indigenous religions have adapted, changed, and used modernization to their advantage. To start with, I focused on adaptation of belief. With the adaptation of belief, we have the merging of two religions, synchronistic religions. At the forefront, or two of the most prevalent indigenous religions in people's minds when they think of when you're discussing synchronistic religions, is Voodoo and Santeria. Both of these religions come from West Africa. Santeria is attributed more to the area that is now Nigeria. What happened with these two religions is, during the slavery era within the Americas, slaves from West Africa brought with them their religious beliefs and ideals, and when they were forced to adapt Christian religious beliefs and ideals, primarily Catholic, they used their religious ideals as an act of hope, an act of resistance, and an act of survival. And in this way, the religions merged. So you have several distinctive tribal religions coming together, not only from the peoples of West Africa, but also from the native population that intermingled with the African population, and their beliefs intertwined. With Santeria and Voodoo are very similar. With both religions, practitioners believe in a single God, but they also have an extensive system of demigods, spirits, divine intermediaries that can help within their life, or being a divine intermediary, help within divine matters. What the biggest thing that the synchronicity of Catholicism and Western African beliefs has done is it has created a vessel for these tribal religions to continue to progress into the modern day and not experience a cultural extinction because of the circumstances of colonialization. The one detriment to that is that pop culture and religious ideology has misconstrued the beliefs and made these two religions seem as though they're black magic, witchcraft, sacrificial cults, and things of that order. Another thing that has helped for the progress and adaptation of indigenous religion has been technology. The prime mode for nearly a century for this survival and preservation of indigenous religious beliefs has been the use of printed text. With the use of printed text, you're able to reach an audience, but as technology progresses into video, these indigenous groups are able to reach a wider audience. And then when you interplay the internet into this with ebooks as well as databases, individuals are able to access a greater deal of correct information or annotated information on not only the people and their way of life, but also their religion that is entrenched so much in their lives. If you look towards more contemporary times, we can take into account recently in Brazil, the World Cup, there was a group of indigenous people who were with the Congress demanding land rights, and they merged into a group of individuals that was protesting the World Cup. This has been misconstrued in several different ways on the internet, but what this also shows is it shows that the internet is an excellent platform for indigenous people to spread their message and expand upon their beliefs to a global community, not just to the people of their nation. Another thing to take into consideration is the actions of the people themselves and how they have taken into account the situation of modernization, the situation of colonization and oppression, and how they have fluidly progressed. With Voodoo and Santeria, we saw that though they were oppressed, they took their faith and their religion into their own hands, and they continued it. We also see this within the American Southwest with the merger of Native American religion and, once again, Catholic religion. Primarily, I am referencing to the Yaqui. There's a more extended name, but it's escaping me right now. Their religion is a mix of Catholicism and their native beliefs. They're not native, They reside in Arizona. They are not native to Arizona. They are natives of northern Mexico. But under oppression, they immigrated to the United States, built, this isn't the right word, helped to establish the community of Guadalupe. And as time progressed, they interacted with government, and they were able to secure their own land rights and eventually become recognized as federally recognized as a Native American tribe. One of the interesting things about them is that they have deeply maintained their religious beliefs. There's several communities within the state of Arizona, and there's also ritual expositions that open to the public, that help them broaden the public's understanding of their beliefs and their ideas. Another thing that is prevalent to this is that the autonomy that indigenous people are able to maintain. Within the United States, the use of peyote, which is a cactus, is prohibited, but Native American people are able to use it within the context of their religious ceremonies in opposition to this law. If you compare this to the Rastafarian religion, I don't need to misconstrue the belief because I cannot fully expand or explain upon this, but there is a certain ceremony where partaking in marijuana is a part of that ceremony. That is still prohibited by the federal government, but within the indigenous religion sphere of information, they're able to use this substance that is restricted and prohibited within the confines of their religious beliefs. So they've shaped and enabled and taken initiative within court cases to protect their religious beliefs. So with modernization, we tend to think of it as the destruction of indigenous religions. There are many indigenous religions that do not adapt quick enough to survive. But at this point in time, technology is enabling more indigenous religions to continue to thrive, survive, and at the very least to maintain a record of their beliefs so that they are understood before their religion is extinct.